Foam rollers, the magical instrument mobility that everybody knows they should use, but not everyone's so sure about how they should be using it. Hi, I'm Jay, the physio coach, and today I'll be taking you through my 5 top tips about how to use the foam roller most effectively for mobility. That's coming up next. Rule number 1 is slow and steady really does win the race when it comes to foam rolling. A lot of people are too aggressive, too vigorous when it comes to foam rolling, and the intention here really is to, in one part, to reduce overactivity, hypertonic muscles, and overly toned, causing this tension and movement compensation, preventing us from being able to move the way we want. Muscles don't tend to function very well in a state of overactivity, so we're just trying to reduce that tone back to normal. The thing that really triggers that is correct kind of stimulation of certain receptors that lie in our fascia, which is just a connective tissue that runs around, encases our muscles. When it comes to rolling, what you really want to be thinking about is applying pressure slowly and gradually easing into it. The rate at which you apply that pressure is important, and the amount of pressure you apply is important, to make sure that you don't trigger the absolute opposite effect and trigger more muscle guarding and spasm and an increase in tone from applying that pressure too quickly and just too much pressure altogether. When you're rolling, you ain't trying to start a fire. So make sure it's slow, steady, start off nice and superficial, and then gradually build up that pressure over time. Rule number 2 is, guys, keep it tolerable. Remember what we're trying to achieve is that relaxation, that reducing that, those hypertonic muscles and things like that. If you come at it with the no pain, no gain approach, the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to increase perceived threat to the tissues, and you're either going to trigger either voluntary just muscle guarding, or just the automatic involuntary just muscle spasm. And ultimately what that boils down to is you walk off feeling tighter than when you got on in the first place. So discomfort, that's going to happen. In fact, if you don't feel uncomfortable at all, you're probably working in an area you don't need to. So discomfort, don't let me paint the wrong picture. You're going to feel discomfort. It's not going to feel like a walk in the park if you're working on tissues that need to be worked on. However, there's a threshold certainly when you pass from discomfort into pain. And pain, I'd probably say, is with that intention to, like Tom Mars describes it, would be motor intention to withdraw. It's subjective, scale I know, but I think it's useful to have a bit of a scale to kind of judge when you jump on a roller is what's acceptable at levels of discomfort and what's pain, so that you know how to adjust accordingly. So if you imagine a scale from 0 to 10, 0 being no discomfort at all, 10 being really bad, the worst pain imaginable, then I would say that you don't really want to be going much past that halfway point. So 6 out of 10 tops, and if it's any more than that point, you're going to readjust. You're going to readjust your pressure, you're going to change your position to bring that back down into that acceptable threshold. So rule number 2 is keep it tolerable, guys. Rule number 3 is have a plan. You wouldn't walk into the gym having zero idea what you were going to do when you got here. And foam rolling should be no different. So you don't have to, go away and open up a spreadsheet or, have a written down plan or anything. But all I'm saying is you've got to have a rough idea of what muscle groups you want to work on, how long you're going to spend, all those kind of things. What movement you want to improve. So you have a test retest. Have some kind of plan, and I'll go through this in another video about strategies you can use. But make sure you've got some kind of plan going in rather than just jumping on the roller, because what that kind of inevitably leads to is just kind of spending probably more time than you need to, or spending barely any time because you get frustrated and just kind of wonder what the point of it is at all. So make sure you got a plan, man. So rule number 4 is don't forget to breathe. I know it seems ridiculous, but when we encounter that inevitable discomfort that we will when we're foam rolling, it's often just a reflexive reaction to hold our breath in response to that discomfort. But remember, with the goal that we have on here is trying to promote a relaxation, that reduction, overactivity of muscles. If we hold our breath too much, we're only going to end up increasing that overactivity. We're going to tense up more. So what we want to try and do is not just breathe at all, although that's a good start. The second thing is we try to breathe in a particular way. And if you've ever heard of belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing, that's what we're talking about. We're trying to breathe from down here rather than from up into the chest. So my fifth and final point when it comes to foam rolling is to treat it as part of the process. Now I don't generally use foam rolling in isolation because the benefits you'll get from this will probably be transient, short-term benefits at the most. You'll reduce your muscle ache, your pains, you'll be able to move, you have a little more range of motion for a short period, but that will be in all likelihood return to normal if you don't follow it up with something else. A lot of the tightnesses and aches and pains that we get are resultant of poor movement quality, compensating in a way that starts to heighten the nervous system's perceived threat to tissues because you're moving in a way that's stressful to them. So it starts to tighten things up to protect you, to stop you from moving like that. If we roll and we reduce our aches and we reduce our pains and we temporarily increase our stretch and movement tolerance, it gives you this window of opportunity to then improve your movement quality, to improve your squat or your hip bend pattern or whatever it may be, to then lock in those mobility gains, so to speak, groove the correct motor patterns, reassure your central nervous system that you're moving in a way that isn't injurious, with no conversations, with no then perceived threat to the tissues. And it means that then that mobility that you've gained ends up being concreted in a more permanent sense, rather than it just being a short-lived temporary increase. So those are my 5 tips. I hope you found them useful. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to share it. It really helps me out. Give us a like on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/athletefix. And let me know your suggestions. It's either in the comment section below or on the Athlete Fix Facebook page. Okay, take care guys.